Alright guys, well, today we are in the greenhouse at school where I wish you could be with me, but But we're going to talk about containers. So if you were at school with me, we would have the same worksheet that you guys are going to have online, but we would practice planting and transplanting things in different ways. So we're going to talk more about this in class, but for right now, I'm going to show you examples of a lot of different kinds of containers and talk about what we use them for. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this. These are relatively clear plastic, and these are called propagation domes, and they are designed to fit on top of a flat tray. And a flat tray is a tray that looks like this, that is designed to hold a number of smaller pots to be moved. And so these fit snugly on the tops of the flat trays in order to prevent seedlings from drying out until they get big enough and have an established root system. So going down the line, we also have these trays that don't come apart and they sit in a flat tray. And these are called plug trays, and they're based on the number of cells, individual cells that you have. So you would use these to decrease the amount of soil that you needed to use for smaller plants before they're transplanted. So you can see they come in different sizes. These ones are a little bit bigger, and there's lots of other sizes available. Next up is what we call a 2-inch pot. A 2-inch pot, by the way, these are designed so that they fit in even numbers in these trays. Okay? So they won't be like have an awkward space left over. They'll fit exactly in these trays. And these are sort of small and deep, and they're designed so that you can make cuttings in a pot like this. So that's a 2-inch pot. Another kind of pot that we use a lot in our greenhouse is something we call a 4-inch pot. And you guys might notice all of them have holes in the bottom, and that's very intentional so that the plants can drain. And they have ribs on the side of them so that the water can infiltrate and get down to the root system. So a 4-inch pot, these are pretty cheap. You can see they're not a really tough pot. So it's designed for an annual plant that would be intended to be sold and placed into the ground. So this is another type of Cellpack. We have a lot of different types of Cellpacks, and again, they're all designed to fit evenly into the trays. This particular one has 12, so it would be called a 12-pack. A lot of times, well, another thing, we have a variety of baskets and bowls. So anything that doesn't have a hanger on it is called a bowl. And there's lots of different kinds. Those are designed for different plants that would be intended to grow on maybe the patio. You would keep a plant like this. You can see it's more decorative. It's a lot more solid than the other containers. Here's another one that's decorative. And the idea is that people would keep them on their patios with something decorative, flowers or something. So anything that has a hanger on it is a hanging basket. There's a lot of different kinds of hanging baskets. These ones are hard plastic. This is an example of a wood hanging basket. And something like this might be used for something, it's maybe a little bit more money, but it would be great if you need to keep the roots of your plants a little bit cooler. So this cell pack is often referred to as a liner. You can see that these can break apart into smaller 6-packs, but they're designed to grow just like that in a flat tray. And the idea is that they would be carryable. These are disposable and cheap, and you can separate your plants later. These are an example of what we call peat pots. They're almost like compressed cardboard, and they're used for a variety of reasons. If you were going to plant the entire thing directly into the ground, this container would eventually just disintegrate. All right, next up we have two different kinds of containers here. This one is usually called a gallon can, and it's probably not a gallon, but these gallon cans are pretty cheap, and they're generally, again, for something that's going to be transplanted into the ground. So here we usually grow tomatoes to fit in these gallon cans, but possibly small fruit trees or something else like that. As opposed to something that's close in size, these are a little bit more expensive, but you can see that they're a little bit more solid and they look a little nicer. So you would be more likely to sell something like flowers in something like this, or possibly a house plant. It's not a very big pot. So obviously we can grow things in all kinds of different containers, and the container that you choose is going to depend on what you want to spend, what you're going to do with it. If you're trying to sell a uniform product, what the end goal is. So this is a ceramic pot. Again, something completely different.